All right, thanks for finding us again on YouTube. I'm meteorologist John Dawson from Fox 26. We're in Houston. We're trying to keep this as generic, though, as we can for the entire Atlantic Basin or the tropics in general. But, you know, it's hard not to sort of kind of talk about your hometown just a little bit. So there might be a little Southeast Texas bias and a little bit of discussion of Houston, but overall we're looking at the tropics and we're glad you're here. We're here every day. If you haven't found us, if you're new, you can subscribe to the Fox 26 channel, leave some comments below. That'd be all the kind of fun stuff to do on YouTube. Let's talk about Earl to begin with. Hurricane Earl is getting very close to Bermuda, and that's going to be a situation that that's watched very closely for the folks in Bermuda. For the rest of us, though, not really going to be that much of a concern. It is a Category 2 storm right now. This is, of course, the 4 p.m. updates from the National Hurricane Center. Maximum sustained winds at about 100 miles an hour. And that Category 2 status will probably be increased to a Category 3 by the time we get to tomorrow in the afternoon, with estimated winds expected to be about 120 miles an hour. And then after that, though, once we get into Saturday and Sunday into the weekend, things are definitely going to sort of fall apart pretty quickly once we get into some cooler waters and we're looking at things. But let's get a little bit of a closer look at what's happening with Earl at the moment, beginning to get more organized. If you'll remember correctly, Earl has sort of struggled to get that classic structure in place for a hurricane, with that eye develop, that well-developed eye and the outer rain bands that kind of go along with that. It's really had a while, but as soon as it did get organized, it began to grow in its strength quite a bit. So kind of moved through Category 1 status pretty quickly. We're now at that Category 2 hurricane, and that track is going to take it very close to Bermuda. Not expected to make a landfall necessarily, but still hurricane force winds, lots of rain, storm surge, all of the threats that a hurricane can bring. Definitely going to be something that Bermuda is going to be dealing with, even though maybe a landfall isn't necessarily going to be taking place. So let's get the bigger picture for just a moment. We're going to talk about Danielle in a moment. I know you're probably wondering, where's the latest on Danielle? Well, we'll talk about Danielle in just a minute. But for now, I want to start with some tropical waves that are out here. There's still one way out into the east off of the coast of Africa. That one is pretty low possibilities that it's going to become a named storm. This one being recognized by the Hurricane Center, this tropical wave has a 70% chance over the next 2 days that it would become a named storm. So I think this one is probably going to move into some areas that it would be. And Fiona is the next name on the list. So when we start hearing about Fiona, this is where we're going to be watching as this moves into the Atlantic. Not going to be a threat to Texas at this point, so that's going to be something that we're going to be able to sort of not be concerned with overall. Danielle, on the other hand, is no longer a tropical system. The National Hurricane Center, as of 10 a.m. on Thursday, says we're done with Danielle. We're not going to track it anymore. It's lost all of its characteristics. I would expect to continue to watch Danielle, or the remnants of Danielle, pushing off to the east and eventually having some impacts on Europe, but not as a tropical system. Going to be a rainmaker probably, and probably a little bit of winds kind of thrown in there as well. So as we take a look at the last hours of Danielle as its tropical characteristics, you have to kind of even look for that little bit of a swirl to still be happening to represent that low pressure system. And it just is the opposite of Earl, where Earl becoming much more organized. Danielle's losing all of its organization, and again, not in a tropical system anymore. So let's zip back out to the Pacific, because there is actually a hurricane that's going to be making some impacts on the United States. It will be something that's not widespread, and it's not going to be hurricane-like necessarily, but definitely going to be looking at some rain possibilities increase for a portion of the state. This is going to be Hurricane K, and getting very close to trying to make a landfall right on the Baja Peninsula there. And it is a Category 1 storm at the moment. The maximum sustained winds are at 75 miles an hour. But as we progress through time, that interaction with land, that a little bit further movement to the north, all of that that's going to begin to sort of have K fall apart a little bit. So by tomorrow afternoon, on Friday afternoon, maximum sustained winds should be down to about 50 miles an hour, and then we'll get into Saturday afternoon and see those down to 40 miles an hour, and then by the time we get to Sunday, the end of the weekend, maybe not even a tropical system anymore, but also beginning to curve back out. Now, it is going to be getting close enough to the southwest corner of the U.S. that some of this moisture, some of this rain is going to get carried over and have some impacts. Arizona and the southwest corner of Arizona and even the southern portions of California will be receiving rain that's attributed to Hurricane K, or at this point just K. Once that we get around, it'll be a tropical storm. Unfortunately, we know we've been talking about California in drought and in heat, and those portions of California are not necessarily the areas of California that will be getting the rain from K. These are going to be in the southern portions of California, not where we're seeing the wildfires that are a little bit further to the north in the central and the northern regions and the higher elevations of California. So the United States will be impacted by K, but it won't be again as a hurricane. It'll be just providing some more moisture for that rain possibilities. Thanks to everybody who's been looking me up on social media at John Dawson, Fox 26, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I've seen those direct messages that you've been sending me on Instagram and the follows that you've been making. I appreciate that. If you haven't done so, you're officially invited to do so. And also, again, remember, if you're not subscribed to Fox 26 YouTube channel, go ahead and get subscribed. Lots of different updates besides just the tropics are included on a daily basis. It'd be good to get you sort of tuned into some of that. And the Fox 26 weather app is going to have most of this tropical information that I'm discussing as far as the forecast tracks and things like that. They're going to be there available to you. And you can manage all that. If you're not wanting to see the tropical information, you can kind of cut that out as well if you'd like to. In the meantime, enjoy your Thursday. We'll be back here on Friday in the afternoon with another update on the tropics.